Hey coach, in this video, I want to share with you something really cool that has been working for me as I build my coaching business as a Christian. I'm not sure if you have the same experience I had, but as I was getting into this coaching world, I've been in the coaching industry for about 11 years now, and one of the things that I noticed early on, I've had four different coaching businesses, is that you have this passion for helping people, right? And you've got these gifts, you've got these skills, this life experience that it seems like it all sets you up to be, a really great coach and to make a huge impact. But then somewhere along the way, you're making decisions, you're building your business, you're listening to what the world is saying about how you should do things, how you should do marketing and sales and this and that. And somewhere along the way, this disconnect happens where it feels like the passion that you had early on doesn't really connect. Like business starts to feel heavy. And it's not because you're lazy. It's not because you're not doing anything or you're behind on your timeline. It's just that things aren't lining up. And I experienced that. I had four different businesses, was pushing too hard. There was hard sales, sacrificing way too much, trying to build big things that ultimately were not me. And I even hired a coach at one point and I got great results. I got great results working with him, but I had to cut the relationship off because there was this disconnect. I didn't resonate with him as a person. I didn't resonate with his process, like how we actually got results. It didn't align with me and my faith and my values. And I also didn't align with the product that I actually bought, like how we were going to work together in this. And so I know what it's like to be there. I also know what it's like to be on the other side, where you have a business that is aligned, that feels good, where you keep that passion. It's profitable. It's peaceful. You don't feel, bad or slimy or weird about any of it. It just feels good. And so I just want to share with you in this video what's working for me, what's working for the coaches that I've helped, and it's called the Contrarian Way. And this is something that came out of a really challenging time in life for me. We were a couple weeks away from having our second born. I ended up having a health issue. My mom had a health issue, and we're trying to finish our basement. And we had these all these financial moving parts. And then I found out I was losing the biggest source of finances for our family 2 weeks before our baby was going to be born. And we're trying to close on a loan and all this different stuff. And I didn't know what to do. I'm like, God, just help me out because I have no idea how we're going to make this all work. And after looking at Jesus's life in the Gospels, how he did things, not from a personal growth standpoint, but from strictly from like a business standpoint, like I hope I can take something away here that's going to help me. That's where the Contrarian Way was born. And so, what the Contrarian Way is it's a pattern that I noticed in how Jesus communicated with people, whether it was one on one or it was a big group, and also the transformation process that he took people through to change their lives. And so what that looks like is really, really simple. There's three parts. And the first part is belong. And this is really like you could kind of think of this as your marketing, right? It's the message that you put out there in the world. This is like my first step. When people come into my world, I want to create belonging through whatever message I'm putting out there. And the goal is to build connection with the person, right? I want people to feel known and valued and understood by me. I want them to connect with me as their person, right? The next piece is believe, and you can kind of think of this as like the sales side of things, right? Um, you're inviting someone into a relationship with you, right? That's what coaching is about. It's about a relationship. And so the goal is to build conviction in the process. I want someone to feel like they believe that the way that I do things will work for them. Like almost like they can try it on for themselves and see themselves actually walking in it. That's the goal. And so the next piece, if that belief develops, is the last one, become. And that's really about the way, right? It's about building conversion in the product. And what I mean by conversion is not getting a sale, but someone was walking in life, doing life one way, and now they're doing it a different way. They're converting from this way to this way. And the product is your offer. And that's what they use. That's the way that they use to walk this out. So it's a really simple process. One, two, three, belong, believe, become. Now, practically speaking, here's how I've used that to build my business model and what's working for me. I kind of think of it as a tree. You like my tree drawing, I hope. Every tree starts with a seed, right? And so the world will tell us to build from the top down, right? To build all your marketing, get your message out there, and then figure out how you're going to sell to people, and then ultimately figure out how you're going to deliver on that offer. It's like you sell it and you try and build it as you go. But I think of business more as a tree. It starts with a seed and it grows from the ground up. So that's what I did. That's what I've done. And my seed, I call it the gospel thread. It's like one core message of good news for your business that tells the who, what, why, and how of what you do, right? And instead of focusing on desire, there's a lot of marketing stuff. They talk about persuasion and copywriting and trying to create desire in people. I think of it more as there's a need because that's what the gospel is about. There's a need, right? Sin is something in our life that needs to be taken care of. And then we're presented with this hope in Jesus, right? But there's a cost. We have to follow him. We have to pick up our cross and follow him, right? And so that's how I approach this. I have one core message for my business, and it like carries the DNA through everything else that I do, through the way that I work with people, the way that I sell, the way that I market, everything. It follows that need, hope, and cost process. And so that's the core of everything I do. Now, once that seed sprouts, we start to get some roots, right? It starts to take root. And that's where we move into what I call the access offer. And when I look at Jesus and his ministry and the way he did things, he always wanted to draw people closer to him, right? He would say, "Follow me, and I'll make you fishers of men. Follow me, follow me." It just he keeps saying it. And so the reason for that is the closer access you have to him, the closer proximity that you have to him, the more likely that your life is going to change. The more likely you're going to walk in that way, you're going to experience a transformation, you're going to see the fruit of it. And so that's why I call it the access offer. It's like a door that you're walking through. I'm opening it to people and they can look at it. Now, it really has a few core things that I want to point out. It's one core offer, and it's discipleship focused. It's not people come into my world and I delegate them to another coach to coach. I've experienced that, and I did not like it. This is a discipleship model. I'm walking right next to my clients, helping them walk that path, working with them through it. The other piece about this is it has two tiers, which makes it really high leverage. There's one tier that's closer proximity, people who need more support, and then there's one that's a little bit less, people who need less support. And so it's flexible. People can move between tiers and it's high leverage. I don't need a lot of support to be able to do this. I'm a one person business. And so it allows me to do that. There's a lot of profit built into my business when I built it this way. And then the last one is like, what are the actual deliverables? And when I look at, um, when you put your faith in Jesus, there's kind of three different types of deliverables. There's immediate, which is, you could look at that as salvation, like you're saved, you're born again, you have direct access to God, you have rightness with God. That's an immediate one. So for then there's ongoing, which is kind of like the community of believers. You got brothers and sisters that you do this thing with, you walk the path with. And then there's eternal deliverables, which is like spending eternity with him in heaven. And so I've tried to build my business the same way. I have some immediate deliverables that help them right away. I have some ongoing deliverables that help people as we go along, like calls and chats and things like that. And then some eternal deliverables, which I just think of as things that they can take along with them for the rest of their life, whether it's frameworks, knowledge, wisdom, little bits of things. And so that's how I've structured my offer. And my offer, the access offer and the gospel thread, those are really what make up this become phase. When somebody gets to that point, they're walking in this way and they're more likely to become the person that they want to become because, excuse me, because they're walking with it through me. Now, as we move up, and we get back to believe, this is really the sales piece. And I do all my selling through something that I call the mountain message. And I think of it like Jesus telling the Sermon on the Mount, right? He's sharing this message with people. He's contrasting the old way to the new way, and he's inviting them to walk in it. That's what my process is like. It's a very biblically based sales framework. And instead of being like the world where I don't know if you've experienced this, but there's like a persuasion and high pressure sales environment, and they're trying to overcome every single obstacle that you have, and it almost feels like they're trying to put you in this corner. This is the complete opposite. It's like invitation. You're inviting someone into a relationship, and you're just providing all the information with them and trusting that they know enough about their own life that when they bring this information in, they can make a discerned decision, right? They can feel empowered to make that decision on their own. They can ask some questions and stuff, but it's not something where you're pressuring people. You're trying to like close a sale. Like my perspective is this person is a soul. They're not a sale. They're not a dollar, and I'm just trying to help them. I want them to exercise that free will. So that's what this process looks like. And I use a video that kind of outlines everything. Now, the other piece about this is that there's one clear open door. There's one path, and that's the access offer that we just covered. So this is what my sales process looks like practically. People watch a video, and if it seems like they connect really well with me as the person and they like my process, the contrarian way, then we talk about what's next, right? So the next piece is the marketing, and that's really the belonging, right? We build that connection with people, and I do this through something that I call my content habitat. And really, it's just where all my content lives and how it works. And so, kind of some of the core points is I try and create my content with somewhat of a shepherd's voice. Like Jesus talked about how his sheep know his voice. And so I want to call out to people. I want them to feel known and valued and understood, almost like I'm their shepherd, I'm their guide. And I try and do it in a way that's timeless. I don't want to follow trends and the stuff that's going to pass away so quickly. I want to speak like to their heart in a way that really resonates and can do that over time. The other piece about my content habitat is I build short form and long form, and I kind of combine those. The short form is really to bring people into my world. It's to help them build that initial connection, and then the long form content I use YouTube videos. So I kind of pair Facebook and YouTube, and YouTube allows people to go deep, right? How do you build a relationship? You spend time with people, right? And that's what YouTube does for me. It allows people to, binge watch stuff, to get to know me, to hear some stories, for me to build value with them, that kind of thing. And so there's really two types of content. If you think about the tree, there's branches and then there's leaves. The branches for me, for my business, are investment related content. It's something where people give me something in of value in exchange for something of value. So email is something that I use, right? They give me their email address and I give them the value through what I send them in email. Then you've got like low ticket workshops. That's something that I do from time to time. And so people give their investment is actual money. And then I give them value and skill and time. Another one is the long form video, right? They're giving me their attention and I'm giving them value back through that. And then I don't really like this word, but lead magnet is something that resonates with a lot of people, but I think of it more as like a people magnet. um, but it's something people are giving you their information in exchange for some sort of asset, whether it's a book or a PDF or a video or something that you've created. And so the branches are the investment related content that lead down to the trunk, which is where the sales process happens. I share that mountain message with them. But then there's also the free content, right? And this is the stuff on the very front end. It's, for me, I love using Facebook. So I do Facebook posts. I used to do reels and shorts and some of that stuff, but it's free. People see it kind of as they're passing by. The other thing that I really like about how I've created my content habitat is when you think about planting a seed, like the parable of the sower, you're spreading seeds, you're sharing the message. I can do that in three different types of fields. I can share my message in three different types of fields. And the first one, this is all about intentional sowing, right? You can sow in a field. You could sow in any field, or you could try and find a field where it's more likely that your seeds are going to take root and grow. And so intentional sowing, I do that in three different ways. One is by building my own field, which is basically like building my own audience. Email is a really good example of that. I can deliver a message and I control if it lands there. Another field is borrowing, right? You create some sort of agreement with somebody where you can put your seed in their field. You can share your message with their audience. And that could be like partnerships or podcasts or affiliate stuff, that kind of thing. And then the last one is fields that you buy. You're literally paying to rent somebody else's field and plant your seeds there. I'm paying to put my message in front of their audience. That's like paid ads. And so this framework has worked for me and people that I've worked with in every single one of those. And so it's really, really neat. Now, When you zoom way out, one other way that you can kind of look at this is if you look at Jesus, he was always trying, like I said earlier, to draw people closer to him. He wanted them to have more access, and closer proximity meant more likelihood that they're going to have their lives changed. And so I think about it the same way. I noticed that there were really kind of five groupings of people that had different levels of proximity with Jesus. And the first one is the crowd. They're people who just hear his message as he's preaching. Maybe they're walking by, I don't know, whatever. Those are like people who see your free content. They're scrolling through the feed and they see it. The next level of depth is the aligned. There are people who hear that message and they kind of raise their hand and they're like, yeah, I believe in that. That's cool. Um, those would be people who actually stop and listen for an extended period of time and actually like believe and take part in a little bit of what Jesus said. Those are people who take part in my paid content, whether that's paying with their energy or their information or their finances. Then we go one level deeper. Excuse me, the followers. Jesus had this group of people who would follow him, right, from town to town to town. They want to see more miracles. They want to experience more of what he has to say, learn from him, that kind of thing. And for me, these people are people who see my mountain message, right? It's like the Sermon on the Mount message. They want to hear more. They want to go deeper. From there, we're going to look at these next two kind of hand in hand is the disciples. Those are people who actively walked with Jesus in his way, taught and learned from him and applied it. And then in some cases, even taught other people. And then the inner circle. So he had 12 disciples. And, if you look at Acts, then he had 70 that he sent out. The inner circle, Peter, James, and John, those are the people who had the closest proximity to him, right? The most access to him. And so I think of both of these groups, the disciples and the inner circle, as people who purchase my access offer. Tier one is the people who have the most access and closest proximity. Tier two is the people who have the next level, right? And all of that is meant to draw people closer to me so that they can experience the gospel thread, right? They can experience the good news. They can have the most likelihood of actually experiencing transformation. The same way that Jesus did. Everything he did was to try and draw people closer to him so that they could experience transformation. Now, the last thing I want to share with you is the fruit, because every good tree has fruit. And this is just some of the fruit that I've experienced by stopping what I was doing before with those first, four businesses and starting doing things God's way. Is I have a lot more peace with the way I do things. I don't feel like I'm manipulating people. Like I feel good about it. My conscience is clear. I really enjoy my approach to things. And that means a lot to me because I used to not have that. The next piece is profit, right? Using an access offer for me has made things really high leverage. I have high profit margins. I'm the only person in my business, and it doesn't take a whole lot of tools and support for me to be able to do this. So it's very profitable. And I also have profitable relationships. I get to build really cool relationships with cool people and with my family because I don't have to spend time 40, 60, 80 hours a week building this. I'm working 20 to 25 hours a week. The other piece is purpose, right? That's another fruit is that purpose is still alive and well because I feel like I'm doing things. I'm not feeling that disconnect that you probably feel if you have this really strong calling, but you're building your business the world's way, and it's just like something about this is off. It's not really connecting. I don't have that. I feel that sense of purpose, like everything is aligned really well. And then the last piece is presence, right? I'm not worried about all these different things that I'm trying to do. My mind is in other places. Like I'm trying my best, and I feel like I can be here a lot more. I can be with the people that I'm with when I'm with them, and I can help people in a deeper level. I can be present with them. I'm not like what everybody else is trying to do. They're trying to say, automate everything and systemize everything and protect your time so much. Like don't let anybody in unless they're whatever. I'm able to be present with people at whatever level of access they decide that they want. And so that's what the contrarian way is. That's what's been working well for me. That's what I've been helping other coaches implement in their business. Laura, she's one coach that I worked with. She was a travel blogger making like 10 to 12,000 a month. We worked on her access offer, and it took her to 76,000 a month. Super simple business. She's enjoying it a lot more, still gets to travel, has lots of peace, which is really great. There's this life coaching company that I worked with, and we kind of implemented this whole system, right? We had one core message, we had one core access offer with multiple tiers, we had one core mountain message, which in this case was like one core funnel that we were using, and that company made over 1.1 million in a single month through this process, and it's continued. Like, they have continued to make hundreds of thousands a month off this because we built it the right way. And then just another quick one is Kate. Kate's she's a business coach for stay-at-home moms. And what we really worked on was just clarifying her message and building an offer that fit what people wanted. And we just sent that out to her email list. She made over 20,000 in a month, and she's got a really cool family. She does homeschooling, and they travel and do all this stuff. And so it's great because I've been able to work with so many different coaches and see this work across so many different industries and income levels. Some people just want six figures. They don't need seven, eight, nine figures, but it also works at that level, which is really neat. So, like I said, I'm not trying to convince you of anything. I just want to share what's working for me, what's working for some of the people that I've worked with, and in hopes that you will take a sincere look at it, because you do have a decision to make. Right now, there's the world's way, which may be what you've been building, how you've been building things, and why there's that tension right now, that misalignment. But there's also the contrarian way. There's that narrow path that leads to more of what you want. It gets rid of that tension. It creates that alignment, and it allows you to have more peace and more profit and more purpose and more presence. And so you have a decision to make. You can continue in the old way, or you can take the new way. And the new way is the contrarian way. So if that sounds like something that you want to get some more information on, all you have to do is click the button below. It'll open up Facebook, and you send me a message, the way. That's it, the way. And I'll send you all the details. I don't do sales calls or anything like that. But you can just have all the information, ask any questions that you have via chat, and then make a decision. Right, you have free will. I want to empower you to make a well-informed, discerned decision, and recognize whether or not this is the path for you. So I hope this has been helpful in showing you maybe why maybe there's that disconnect, and that there is another way, and that this could be it. I hope this has been valuable for you, and I look forward to hearing back from you soon.